Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. We're going to be talking about Liverpool, who are the winners of the Community Shield for 2022. Obviously, a game that is seen as the curtain raiser, or even by some as more of a glorified friendly, this kind of competition. The winner of the Premier League meets the winner of the FA Cup. It's another battle between Liverpool and Manchester City, and this time around it was Liverpool who came out on top by 3-1, thanks to goals from Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mohamed Salah, and from the new star signing Darwin Núñez. A big day for Liverpool, a very good game for Liverpool, and as we'll get into and talk about, almost like the perfect day for the Reds, almost like the perfect day when you think about everything that needed to happen and needs to happen almost straight away for Liverpool happening. Not a great day for Man City, but I don't think it'll be too big of a deal for them. Like we said, this competition, as perfectly summed up by Jurgen Klopp in his pre-match press conference, he basically said, this game is important if you win it, and you can just blow it off if you lose. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but that is pretty much the gist of what this game is, and I'm sure that it is pretty much what it is for both teams. It's a good result for Liverpool. It's a good competition, a piece of silverware to win for Liverpool right at the beginning of the season, to get their season off to a very good start, and to claim a trophy that obviously they've not won in many years. And also good for them to get one over on Manchester City at this early stage of the season. Whilst for City, of course, there's a lot to look back on, reflect on, and think about going forward. But of course, City have been in this position before in terms of losing this competition. Last year, in fact, where of course they lost it to Leicester. We're obviously going to be talking more about the game and more about what it could mean for the rest of the season. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both ones always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get more into this game, because it was a very interesting game. Obviously, both teams coming into this one off the back of pre-season. A pre-season in which Liverpool have had maybe a bit more of than Manchester City through how both sides decided to go about their pre-season preparations, of course. But you could tell that both teams were not 100%. Both teams were not at their peak performances that we know that they can be. Liverpool were much sharper out of the two. Liverpool had certain individuals and certain performances here and there that were better than Manchester City's, in all honesty. But that wasn't to say that Manchester City weren't bad. It was just, obviously they are a very good team. They are probably the best in England right now and everything. But they were clearly not 100%. And neither were Liverpool, to be fair. Liverpool weren't 100%. There were a few challenges that could have gone in a bit harder had it been a bit more of a competitive game. There were a few moments in the game where you could tell that players weren't putting in the 100% that normally would go into a normal Premier League or even Champions League game. But overall, it was a pretty good game, full of goals. This game isn't normally known for having a lot of goals within it, but it did happen for Liverpool, and it was very good. A very good result for them and a very good performance. We saw in the first half, Mohamed Salah looked extremely lively down that right-hand side. He was getting the ball played into him over the top, and he had João Cancelo on toast for a large part of the game. I think it's going to be a big season for Salah, and I'll go into why a little bit later on in the video. But it's obviously going to be a big season for Salah when you're a key player in that Liverpool team, and obviously he was a big player in the Liverpool team, and he was a big player in this game because he was a real threat down that right hand side for the Reds. He hit the side netting very early on. Kevin De Bruyne hit the side netting on a couple of occasions in the first half, but it was Liverpool who broke the deadlock. Trent Alexander-Arnold being teed up by Mohamed Salah after a couple of switches of play from right to left and left to right by Liverpool. Salah tees up Trent Alexander-Arnold, and his shot may have been slightly deflected off Nathan Ake, but it found the back of the net, and Liverpool won't care how it went in. It went in to break the deadlock. Again, big season ahead for Trent Alexander-Arnold as well in his, obviously, journey in evolving and continuing to get better and better season in, season out. Liverpool went in at half-time, no changes at half-time, but in the second half, but as obviously the first half went on and into the second half a little bit, City grew more and more into the game, started to get a few chances. Obviously, before the game, all eyes were on Erling Haaland, and there would have been simultaneously on Darwin Núñez as well, but Núñez didn't start, Haaland did. Haaland had a good chance in the first half, but Adrian in the Liverpool goal, standing in for Alisson in this fixture, obviously denied him. He also had a chance that I thought he could have gone with his head, but he decided to go with his left foot instead, that he completely messed up. But there was signs there that there was a threat from Haaland and a threat from Manchester City in general to try and find him, but it didn't really carry on into the second half. City did make a couple of changes. They brought on a new player in Julian Alvarez, and he was the one who got the equaliser. A bit of a scramble in the Liverpool goal. Phil Foden's shot should have probably been saved by Adrian. And, the loose ball was then stabbed home by Julian Alvarez. After a lengthy VAR check to check whether Phil Foden was onside initially and whether or not the ball, I think the ball was probably in Adrian's hands, but they allowed it anyway. VAR decided that that goal should stand, and then from there Liverpool took over again. Obviously City still had a threat on the counter-attack, but Liverpool kind of took charge again, and it was thanks to the substitute Darwin Núñez in which he got them their 2 goals. He was a threat in a live wire in the entire time that he was put on as a substitute, and he was the one who won them the penalty. A ball crossed in towards him, and his header came off the hand of Ruben Diaz, and Diaz gave away a penalty. Again, not initially given, but after VAR's interference was eventually given, and Mo Salah stepped up to take and convert the penalty in style. City tried to get back into the game, tried to get an equaliser, but Núñez rounded off the performance, rounded off the victory, secured the Community Shield for Liverpool with a goal of his own. Salah teeing up Andy Robertson at the back post, and his header back towards Darwin Núñez was headed home by the Uruguayan striker, who opens his account in a competitive fixture for Liverpool. He may have only been on the pitch for 20 minutes, but he had a quality 20 minutes or so of coming onto the pitch, and he really turned the game for Liverpool when obviously the game was hanging in the balance. He was utterly phenomenal, and I think it won't do his confidence any harm at all going forward in terms of his performance, the penalty that he won, and of course the goal he scored in the dying embers of the game. Erling Haaland, quiet for the majority of the second half, had a glorious opportunity to pull a goal back for City very, very late on. Phil Foden again at the heart of it. His strike was saved by Adrian. Adrian could only parry it out to an on-rushing Erling Haaland, who from about 6, 8, 10 yards out, very, very close to the goal, could only hit the crossbar and out for a goal kick. He had an absolute nightmare in his first competitive game in English football. Obviously, if you're a Liverpool fan such as myself, you pray that he will have more of those kinds of games, but let's face it, it was probably a one-off. But it will be interesting to see how obviously City progress with him in the team. But at the end of the day, the bottom line here is that Liverpool are the Community Shield winners. What does this mean going forward? I'd like to say this would have some sort of psychological effect on both teams, and that maybe, I think for Liverpool it will have more so for them than it would for City. I think for Liverpool, getting one over on Manchester City early on in the season could be big for them. It's a big confidence boost for everybody involved. You know, apart from conceding the goal, I think it was a perfect performance. They had their third choice standing goalkeeper. The players that they played got a bit more of a run out, got some more fitness. Mo Salah again looked extremely lively, as I mentioned before with him. I think that now that his contract situation is done and dusted and put to the side, and I think now that he's had a rest during the summer, I think we're going to see an even better Mo Salah going forward, and that's why I say that he's going to be even more invaluable to Liverpool going forward this season. And of course, Darwin Núñez, like I say, only been on the pitch for 20-25 minutes, if that. But it was what he did in those 20-25 minutes that was impressive. He could have had a goal much earlier when he was played through by Jordan Henderson, but the onrushing Ederson managed to thwart him there. But there was no thwarting him a second time with a diving header that found its way into the back of the net. I think for him, there's going to be a lot of talk going forward about him. Obviously, the price tag, how he's going to fit in with this team. Liverpool having to sort of modify their style of play a little bit to accommodate a more natural number 9, shall we say, rather than the false number 9 that they've been playing for a number of years. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. But like I say, he couldn't have wished for a better start in English football and in a bit more of a competitive game, shall we say, than by winning the penalty that ultimately won the game, but then sealing it off with a goal of his own, and a well-taken one at that. Very, very promising and good start by Liverpool and Manchester City, and by Darwin Núñez. As for Manchester City themselves, look, they've been in this situation before. They've lost Community Shields. It might not be as big of a psychological edge to them losing this. They'll obviously want to win every game, but it won't be something that they might lose sleep over. Losing it to Liverpool will obviously hurt a current rival in the grand scheme of how the Premier League is right now, and you'd imagine that these two teams will obviously be battling it out later on in the season for other awards and other trophies and stuff like that. So it could hurt in that sense, but you could tell that there's a lot of work to be done, if that makes sense. City will still go into the season as the Premier League favourites, there's no doubt about it, and they probably will go on and have a very strong and solid season. But the thing that's been said about City throughout this summer is whether or not they can handle the sort of refreshing of the squad, so to speak. There's been a lot of outgoings and a few incomings that have happened this season, this summer in the transfer window, and it's been whether or not they could all gel together very quickly. I think what you saw was the potential and the promise, especially in that first half, of what Erling Haaland can bring to this Manchester City squad. He was making some very threatening and some dangerous runs in behind that Liverpool defence that just wasn't being picked out for one reason or another by his teammates. I think going forward, obviously, with a bit more understanding, a bit more togetherness, and obviously playing together more and more, you'll obviously see that understanding and that psychology work more and more in their favour, and soon they'll have a better understanding and a better way of playing and bringing Haaland more and more into the fold, so to speak. But for the start of it, you could see that one striker obviously had the benefit of bedding in a little bit earlier and bedding in with pre-season games, and the other one hasn't had that kind of luxury or opportunity as of right now. And as we all know with City anyway, City don't normally start the season off flying out the traps at a breakneck speed. They grow into the season. They normally take a few games to really hit their peak. But they are still a threat and they are still a danger to anybody. So what we saw was basically that today. We saw a City side that weren't at 100% but still played very well. We saw the promise and the potential of what Erling Haaland can bring this squad and this team. But there was a bit of just a loose connection there. There was a loose connection with the midfield and the forward line. And to cap off, obviously, again, what was a poor performance from Haaland in retrospect was obviously that golden opportunity that he missed right at the end of the game. Okay, it might not have meant anything, and it would have been 3-2, but it would have been nice for him, I think, on a personal level, to get a goal and to kind of settle himself in the English game, as what Darwin Núñez was able to achieve when in comparison to what he wasn't able to achieve in the full 97 minutes, as it were, of the full game. Like I say, for Liverpool, big result this one. Big result. It was a good performance all round, some solid performances. Trent Alexander-Arnold, particularly in that first half, was very, very good. Van Dijk and Matip was solid. Robertson, solid. I think I'll say this, if Robertson could work on his finishing this season, he could easily get about 10 goals. He could easily get into double figures in goals because he gets himself into some really, really good positions. But his shooting at times is absolutely abysmal. I just think he needs to work on that, especially. Henderson was solid. Fabinho was strong. Going to obviously be a big season from him this season. I thought Thiago was world class. It sounds daft saying it because it's stating the obvious, but I thought Thiago Alcantara was absolutely outstanding in that game. He didn't look like he lost a heartbeat at all. He was just playing these just springing these passes across the pitch and beating players for fun and just jogging past the Man City midfield at times. It was exceptional to watch. Luis Diaz was a threat. It's going to be a big season for him to see if he can properly fill in the shoes of Sadio Mane this campaign. Salah, like I say, was a constant threat down that right-hand side. I thought Firmino, in terms of his hold-up play and his pressing, was strong like always. I think sometimes his decision-making has always let him down a little bit, and it did a little bit in this game, but I thought he was solid nonetheless. It was pretty much a perfect performance for Liverpool. Like I say, perfect in terms of result, perfect in terms of getting a trophy that they've not won in a long time, a trophy that definitely Jurgen Klopp has not won as Liverpool manager. And obviously getting their new signings on. Fabio Carvalho came on for the final few minutes, showed a couple of nice touches that he could, and obviously Darwin Núñez, like I say, stole the show today. Absolutely stole the show in terms of coming on, winning the penalty, scoring a late goal. I thought he played very, very well, and he had a couple of chances as well, other than the goal to add to his tally as well and show what he's about. But he's shown that he's bettered him pretty well in terms of the link-up play side, and it's going to be interesting to see how he progresses going forward. I think it's been a solid day by Liverpool. Brilliant day. Community Shield winners for 2022. And now we wait another week until the Premier League starts, and over the next week or so we're going to get some Premier League predictions and all sorts going on. But I would imagine, spoiler alert, that these two teams will definitely be in the majority of people's predictions when it comes to winning the Premier League. Yeah, there might be a couple of people out there that decide maybe they're not going to be, but those people might be a bit crazy. Or geniuses. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But this is about Liverpool. They are the Community Shield winners for 2022. What are your own thoughts? These are just always the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What did you make of the game today in the Community Shield between Liverpool and Manchester City, in which the Reds came out on top by 3-1? What did you make of some of the performances? What did you make of the game itself? What do you think it might have on the rest of the season? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, on this particular topic down below in the comment section. I'm sure it'll make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new, want to see more content like this. Both things always and from be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. And I will see you all again soon in another video.